CNN 10 is your objective explanation of the day's news, and I'm your anchor, Carl Azus. It's great to have you watching. Today's show starts with a pair of significant cases in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. The first involves part of a federal law that concerned immigrants to the U.S. It said that people who came to the country legally, but who were not American citizens, could be deported if they'd been convicted of crimes of violence. Both the Obama and Trump administrations supported the law when it came to a legal immigrant from the Philippines who was convicted twice of home burglary in California. At first, a lower court ruled that his convictions amounted to a crime of violence. But the man's lawyers appealed the decision, arguing their client wasn't given notice that his crimes would result in deportation, and that the crimes of violence part of the law wasn't clear enough. In a 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court decided the law was too vague to be constitutional because Congress didn't define what exactly would qualify as a violent crime. So in this case, the immigrant from the Philippines won't be automatically deported. The ruling is limited, though. Experts say the government can still deport legal immigrants convicted of obvious violent crimes like murder. The second case involves sales tax and the internet. Oftentimes, when you buy something online in the U.S., you don't have to pay sales tax unless you're buying from Amazon itself, which charges it in most states, or if you're shopping at a retail company that has a physical store in your state. South Dakota wants this changed. It says states are missing out on billions of dollars in e-commerce taxes when people don't pay them online. And it wants companies that sell more than $100,000 worth of goods in a year to collect taxes for South Dakota. But many smaller businesses, like ones that sell on eBay, don't want to be forced to collect taxes. They say they'll lose thousands if they have to charge sales tax, and that the different taxes that states and cities have are too complicated to keep up with. The Supreme Court's decision on this is expected to come at around the beginning of summer. 10-second trivia. Which of these Japanese companies started making cars in 1917? Mitsubishi, Honda, Toyota, or Mazda? First company on this list to produce a car was the Mitsubishi Shipbuilding Company, which introduced its Model A in 1917. Right now, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is visiting U.S. President Donald Trump at his estate in Florida. The two leaders will be talking about North Korea. Japan is a close ally of the U.S., and Prime Minister Abe is concerned about the direct talks that are planned between President Trump and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. Japan's worried that its interests and its safety could be left out. Another concern on Mr. Abe's mind, the new tariffs that the Trump administration has placed on steel and aluminum imports from other countries. Japan wants an exemption from those tariffs, so trade will be a major factor in their meeting.
I'll talk to Prime Minister Abe of Japan and others, great guy, friend of mine, and there'll be a little smile on their face, and the smile is, I can't believe we've been able to take advantage of the United States for so long.
The U.S. has a $68.8 billion trade deficit with Japan, and at least 70% of that is the auto industry, despite Japan having zero car import tariffs. While Japanese car brands Nissan, Honda, and Toyota are a regular sight in the U.S., it's a different story here. There are just 4 American automakers with dealerships in Japan. There's Fiat Chrysler, GM, Tesla, and Jeep, and it's pretty rare to see any of them. In fact, having done a tour of this lovely parking lot, I found just 1 American car out of 66. It tallies with the general stats for the country. Last month, American car sales were dwarfed by European and domestic brands. Over 80% of the American cars sold were Jeep.
We committed to this market.
From side view mirrors that fold for Japan's narrow garages to a right-hand drive. Arigato. Jeep has tailored its cars to the Japanese consumer. There are also things like noise and exhaust standards.
There are a few things that are unique to Japan. There are regulations that relate to importation, certification of vehicles that are unique, which means that we need to do additional testing, we need to provide unique documentation for Japan.
Trump says these higher standards make trading unfair.
Trade deficit has various reasons, so the single government cannot control.
European car makers, which face the same regulations, have made greater inroads in Japan. Last month, BMW sold over 6 times the cars of all the American brands combined. This week, it launched a new model, the X2.
In Japan, we have the so-called machine parkings. Machine parking with a height of 1.55 meters. But it's not only the height, it's also the width. The door handles of the 3 Series, they are 10 millimeters more narrow than in a car which you're used in Europe.
The Japanese market is a tight fit, but there's room for foreign automakers that are prepared to adapt. Anna Stewart, CNN Money, Tokyo.
Unless you're a farmer, your workplace or school probably doesn't allow animals. Yes, there are some companies that let their employees bring their pets, but this can't work everywhere. Some of the human workers are allergic. In places that serve food, animals violate health codes. And what happens if your cat hisses or your dog barks at your boss? For places that can't afford to have virtual animals, though, or even real ones, along with people to clean up after them, the workplace is getting some unfamiliar faces.
牛が2頭ヤギなんですか白とピンクのフラミンゴ
And whether they're real or fake, animals are impacting how people work. And we're seeing that in offices across Japan. Like this one, on the 24th floor of a Tokyo-based online entertainment and sales company. Digital art covers the walls, along with over 250 types of plants, creating an interactive jungle.
ないものを作りたいよねっていう
Rain falls not on visitors, but around them. And animals lead you to meetings. There's 26 to be exact, each alphabetically assigned to a room. You know, B stands for bear, H is for hippo, S skunk, X. X.
X はアフリカツメガエルです
Of course. In part, this $10 million area was built to impress clients. But Mr. Nemoto also thinks that reinventing office space will trigger creativity across the company.
基本では新しいものが生まれない
Meanwhile, across town, a different kind of animal occupies office space at one of Japan's largest human resource companies. And this farm, it's just one of its features.
まず健康のためのサロンそして事務センターがありますキッズルームだからタウンのようにこう今タウンビレッジのようにできている
And a village isn't complete without animals. Yasuyuki Nambu built the ranch partly to raise awareness about Japan's shrinking farm industry. But the 60 animals also boost employee well-being.
サッカーボールを蹴る姿見てたらもう抱きしめたくなる
And that's kind of the idea. Reports show how animals at work can improve morale and productivity. Okay, maybe not with alpacas, but with pets. Cats and dogs not only relieve stress, but they can help with work-life balance, employee retention, and overall satisfaction.
確かに家よりも長く暮らす場所ですからだからそういう意味でストレスもなくそしてもうワクワクするような楽しいとそういう気持ちでみんなにいてもらいたい
And at the end of the day, that's the goal. To help make the workplace of tomorrow a better place to be. And if that means a few office pigs, well, that couldn't hurt.
For 10 out of 10, if you think the stonefish doesn't look creepy enough just swimming around, think about this. Researchers at the University of Kansas say the animal has a switchblade on its face. They believe a bony sort of weapon is located under its eyes, controlled by its cheek muscles, and that the species that have this can flip out the blades when they think trouble is afoot or a swim. They call the protrusion a lacrimal saber. And if you sabered the competition of a staring contest, don't lock eyes with a stonefish. They're no angelfish, and you barracuda get hurt if its piercing gaze comes trout and you're not with a safe grouper. If a stonefish ever meets a hatchetfish, they better know a good plastic sturgeon, y'all. I'm Carl Azus, spinning fish stories for CNN 10.